Peace, peace. So here we are in February, and I wanted to be eye to heart as much as possible for my journal entry this month. The first thing is that I'm super excited about my first collaborative grief mm, cipher. My first grief cipher with two other grief educators, two other beings who choose to walk with mm, a consistent invitation to be able to move with grief personally and in the circles that we invite and facilitate and support, including in our very personal lives off camera. So this February, starting on the 12th, is the first of three grief circles that we will be hosting with me, along with Reggie and Amar Atma. And we are so looking forward to this. It is sort of the baby steps into the in-person 3-day grief event that we're hosting at Kripalu in March 20th to 22nd. I will make sure that the links to those are here if you want to join us and really learn how to be in healthier relationship, not just to support your personal grief tending journey, but also to support you in being more skilled at supporting others in their grief. I know since I've moved into a focus on this, I have had questions from folks who are like, yeah, I want to be able to support this grief tending in my family. I want to be able to support this grief tending among some of my colleagues that I love, people who I work with who became friends or like family, who are going through losses of all kinds. And these losses are not only about the loss of a person through death, for example, but they're also about other endings, jobs, relationships of all kinds, aspects of identity, expectations, dreams that are no longer possible. All of these things, what's happening in this country, how this country, the USA, impacts other places. Some of us are in a different level of realization of that. And others of us are grieving that we've been screaming about it for so long and people are finally paying attention and everything in between. We're looking at ICE raids, we're looking at a bully for a president, so many things. So we need, perhaps now more than ever, and maybe that's a bias because I'm in this time, but right now, I feel like we really need to understand grief, not something to avoid or put away or do on the weekends or the retreats. So there's that. Um, I'm also doing this Grief and the Unschooler series because I really feel like in so many ways, my unschooling commitment and experience and unraveling and discovery, all of that really was a foundation for what I am learning now with tending to grief. There are so many parallels between being an unschooler and being a grief tender, which means somebody who's actively willing to learn what their grief literacy skills are like, what they are lacking, and how to move in a healthier way with grief, how to tend to it, how to support the tending of it for our children, for those of us who are parents, for ourselves, for our parents, for our communities in all these different ways. It's very similar. And I've been working on this since I want to say 2024. When I looked at my first set of notes that I wrote down, grief and SDE, I went into my Notion space and I saw that it was actually 2024. And I was like, girl, let's sit with it, let's be with it. And so I used a few months to really get into it as writers do. And then I think I came up with maybe 6 or 7 different essays that I have been working. And since the first 5 are done, yeah, I think there might be 7. So since the first 4 or 5 are done, then yesterday I said, okay, I didn't even plan on it. I just woke up yesterday and was like, it's time. And I published the first one, shared it, and I invite you to read it, share it. It's over on radicalselfie.org. I made the first one public, so you can just go to radicalselfie.org and see the post. You don't have to become a member, but subsequent posts will be within the membership, and free is an option for membership. You don't have to pay to become a member of that space, so it is accessible. Um, The currency would be your email address. I thought I might even share here in our space. Let me pull it up. This blurb that I'm going to be sending to folks who might want to share this. So it says, I'm beginning a short free grief series specifically for unschoolers and people engaged in self-directed education. It's an invitation to look at untended grief as a hidden barrier to liberation work in families and in ourselves. My intention here is to include our particular needs and experiences as SDE folk in this evolving conversation about grief. I want us to be building grief literacy and language for it the same way we're building language for consent and agency and youth rights and, of course, liberation. So it says, I see this as a natural continuation of the work many of us began or nurtured through raising free people. It's about grief and how grief, when stifled or bullied, quietly reintroduces control, urgency, shallow listening, and fear into spaces that are meant to be liberation centric. So that's really what I'm zoomed in on this month. And towards the end of the month, I will be heading to California to do some more grief tending work with Thea Mounier. She is doing a joy immersion event in LA, and I will be doing a bit of grief centric work in that space along with a on the ground meetup for everyone that I'm inviting for season 2 of What I Let Die, my grief literacy podcast. So I have a handful of folks who are based in LA who agreed to meet up in person so we can just like vibe and sit and chat and reflect. And then after that session, then we'll schedule the interviews virtually for season 2. So those are the things that I'm zoomed in on for the next few weeks heading into March, in addition to all the regular things, caring for my body, unlearning certain habits as a parent, as a partner, as a steward of my body, and listening, deeper listening overall over the next couple months as I continue to winter and remind myself that I am still in my winter until maybe the end of March. So thank you for being here. Plenty love. Peace.